Morning, everybody. I am from Myanmar and I have been a trilingual MC in Singapore for about 10 years. So I've been doing it since university and I've been doing it on and off as like a passion project. It started off paying the bills a little bit. And this year I officially quit my full-time job to pursue this full-time. Yeah, so now it's still crazy for me to say that because I just started this full-time since February. Yeah, so I've been trilingual emceeing full time for the last few months, and honestly, has been the best thing that happened to me. I mean, other than getting married 2 weeks ago, but who cares about that?
Woohoo!
But yeah, it's been
Well, mm,
yeah. Thank you, Esther.
right. So yeah, so you just kind of know me on social media. Before you joined the program, before you decided to invest in yourself and learn about whatever it is that you need to learn, what was the biggest struggle you have then? And then like what made you join the program?
Yeah, I think back then my biggest struggle was I knew I liked MC, but I felt that I didn't really understand the why that I'm doing it. I did it because I enjoy it, right? I understood that like it brings me a lot of joy, but is that enough value? Because I think a lot about, okay, but what value do I bring, either to my clients or I mean, bring to the bigger world, right? So that was something I struggled a lot with, just in terms of figuring out like, why do I want to do this? Is this a sustainable business? Can this be a business, right? Because I've run it like a passion project, juggling different jobs for like 7, 8 years. So I think that was one of the biggest struggles that I had trying to figure out whether it's a business, whether I can continue running it full time, right? Because at the end of the day, it has to transition somehow. I wasn't happy in my job. So I was really looking for something different and something that could really get me excited. So yeah, I think that was my biggest struggle.
And so, yeah, I remember when you first started, it was a lot of that. How am I different from other speakers? Right? There's so many speakers who are way more experienced than me, right? A bit of that as well.
Well,
When
I think
how we got started.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, yeah, it's about product differentiation, but I feel
Mm,
that the part of it is not so much competition. It's about knowing yourself, because once you know yourself and your business better, then you understand, right? How to carry yourself in a different way. When you
mm,
understand why, you can communicate it much better to other people. And I think that kind
mm,
of very contagious. And that was very
mm,
important to me in my own personal branding, to know like what causes me to tick, right? What helps me, like what is my why? So that when I talk to
mm,
clients, to people in the business, they feel the energy, they feel that you're different. You don't have to be so fixated on saying, okay, what is my product differentiation, right? Because I mean, let's be really honest, there's only so many things you can do in the business. Like if you're in a certain field, it's very hard to differentiate in terms of like what is your product offering, but
mm.
what is the energy you give people. It's all in the intangible, and I think that translates really well, at least for my business.
Mm, mm, mm. I mean, okay, can I ask a bit of like a self-indulgent question? It's like, so out of like, other people who's kind of teaching business and, there's so many out there. Well, how come you choose me?
Yeah. No, I think that that's a fair question. And I mean, we've always had honest conversations, right? I think
Mm,
for me, to be very frank, I was looking around quite a few coaches. I think I was at a point in my business that I felt that, okay, you know what? Like, I think it's time. If I don't put some skin in the game, I'm gonna, because I'm one of those people that year after year, I'm like, oh, I'm so busy with this. Like, I'm still doing this. I don't have time for it. So one day I just like, gave myself a hard deadline. So I started going around quite a few coaches. I attended master classes like you guys are, right? And
mm,
I think when I went for yours, I liked the idea of creating systems and assets.
mm,
And I think that was
mm,
in quite early stages of my business, right? So I didn't really think about these things. And I was looking for a way to, quote unquote, and have systems in place so that I don't have to, the philosophy doesn't have to be like, I have to outwork everybody. I want to work smart with the limited time that
mm,
I didn't want to just drill my head down into working hard, because that's something that's distilled in all of us, right, as Asians. So I wanted to find a way to work smart. And I think that was one of the things for In Demand that struck me. It's the idea, the focus and the philosophy is on working smart and creating
mm,
systems that could work in the long run. Yeah.
Mm. And what was the most like exciting part, right? To finally take that leap to like, yes, I'm doing this, right? And what was like, maybe tell us like one of your biggest breakthrough in the program or that have kind of affect your career so far?
Yeah, I think for me, it was really important as a Kickstarter. You think that when you're joining a program, it's gonna help you do things. I don't know how to explain. People think that when they spend money, they don't have to put in the effort, right? But it doesn't really
Mm.
work that way in a coaching program. I feel that as you put upfront the money and as you put up the effort, other aspects of you start to change. For example, when we had In Demand, right? We would meet every week. And honestly, that was quite exciting for me because, we get to talk about the business, we get to talk about, it's like a progress check-in, right? What's new, and it keeps me on track as well. And more than that, like I find myself in the business thinking a lot more on other things that I want to action, like I want to work on immediately, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, like there is this sort of machine that's running with In Demand. How do I keep up with that? So I feel that unconsciously it also affects how you run your business in all the other aspects. And that's a really important thing. It's like if you hire a personal trainer, you're gonna start eating healthy. It's like all
I've
kind of
spent the money. I gotta make sure that it works, right?
yeah. And that's the way it should be. If you're putting in an effort, you feel that something is already working, and you're going to be doubling down on that just to be really consistent with what you're doing.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people that, hey, this is not like a magic pill. You got to show up for yourself,
Yeah.
right? And I definitely see that you've been putting in effort. And so tell us, what's life's looking like these days?
Oh my God. I mean, not to give excuses, but I haven't been super active on it. But it's been good. Business has been really good. That all the, videos I've put out over the years have started paying off in a way that, because these few months I just moved into a new house, I just got married. So I haven't been working on the business as much, but because of the assets I've built previously on Instagram, right? Like my IG reels, one of it went viral. So I had like 4 million views. I mean, honestly, thank God. Like, I don't know what happened. I genuinely don't. I really thank God for that. In a sense that like all these assets that I've built and I've accumulated over the years has really continuously helped me build the business. So I'm still getting business online or either through referrals, not like a crazy amount, but sufficient to sort of tide me through this period with very limited marketing that I'm doing. So yeah, it's been really good. And I think once I left my full-time job, I felt the release, It's like I've been thinking about it for a few years to leave. And the minute I left was when I don't feel stressed about it anymore, frankly speaking. So yeah, it's been really good. And yeah, it's just the joy of walking around town midday. Like small things.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about the wealth, but the freedom, right? I want to work less, so I'll do less. I want to work more, so I'll put in more effort, right? I think that the fact that we're at the helm of our life, not just our business, right?
Yeah.
That when you have a business like that, it allows you to be the driver of your life instead of being driven by whatever life throws at you.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things for me in the business was that I wanted to spend more time with my parents. And that was one thing I was very conscious about it. So ever since I quit the job, I would bring them out regularly for like weekday things. It's like children, when parents get old, they're children. So I just kind of like out for dates, and I think spending meaningful time like that is really important. Now that I've moved on to my own home, I still see them often. I mean, I'm meeting them for lunch, but I feel that sense of connection. And when I look back, right, when I'm older, I will remember these things, that because of that one courageous decision I made, at that time it may seem courageous, but now it's not. But because of that one decision I made, I see a lot of benefits in every single field of my life, and that's a really important thing to reflect upon, to think about, okay, once you make some steps for your business, what are the other benefits that you will see? It took me a long time to believe in myself and to quit my full-time job, right? So I think for me, there's a period where you're thinking about it, right? The struggling period. And there's a period where eventually, once you make that decision, you leap into a different phase. And honestly, all the struggle isn't before. Truly, this period that you're going through now, where you're like, oh, I don't know if I should, double down on the business. I don't know if I should work on the business. These are the difficult periods that once you make a decision, once you make that switch, you're not going to think about it anymore. Yeah. And to be honest, that's actually going to be a much bigger relief than you think. And I think it's important to remember that, you had an idea or you did certain actions so that which led you to finding the business. Does that make sense? You made a set of actions that led you to find your business, right? And you should believe in yourself that, all these things that you made have brought you all this joy up till this point. So whatever you're gonna do is not gonna ruin your business. It's gonna continuously bring you different things you haven't seen, right? If you wanted to stay in the comfort, if you wanted to be in your comfort zone, you wouldn't have had this idea, you wouldn't have pursued it, you wouldn't be here today, frankly speaking, right? So you gotta believe in the you 3 days ago who decided to take a yeah.
That
And I
is
mean,
so
I
true.
really feel the pain because I've gone through the same things that you have, And the one thing that really sort of propelled me to take a leap in demand or doubling down on the business is to believe that action comes first before like intention. If you're waiting for motivation to come, sorry, I think action before motivation. If you're waiting for motivation to hit you before you make a step of faith, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. It's always got to be action before you have any motivation to do something. I mean, I believe in that a lot.